Hello, greetings, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever be your time zone. You're on to Austin again, and welcome into a wonderful new week. Today is 13th of June 2021, and I'm here to give us another broadcast. And the title of my broadcast for today is Every Wordy Member in the Kringle Private Society will be tried, will be tested, will be purified, and if this person is able to undergo the purification process, then he or she will come out as fine gold. And my broadcast today is going to be very, very detailed, but I'll try as much as possible to be brief. And if I'm not able to finish the much, then tomorrow I will continue from where I stopped. So, I'm going to say a few things, but today I'm going to begin from the scriptures, and the scriptures, to be precise, from the Bible. Now, there are a few things I want us to understand concerning the world at large and how the system of the elite started, and how far it has taken us, and how far it's going to take us if we continue to work with their system. So I'm going to, as much as possible, refer to the scriptures, and then from there, I say a few things. Then I also go into a place where we watch a video together, and then while we're watching the video, I'll make quick explanations, and as usual, we conclude with the Kringle Cashback Office. So if you're just tuning into my broadcast for the very first time, I would appreciate if you give a thumbs up to my broadcast, and a good number of us enjoy watching my broadcasts. I really do not understand why you enjoy watching without making a contribution of any sort, even though it's a thumbs up. These things, we are a community, and our community should encourage those who make this broadcast. You watch, you get the information, but you should acknowledge by giving a thumbs up. It really, really matters. Okay? So, like I said, I'm going to share my screen now, and then I will share a few things with us. And then after that, I'll say a few number of other things, and I'll call it quit for today. All right. So, I think my screen is now being shared, right? Okay. So, um, I'll begin with this. Now, for those of us who may or may not be Christians, fine, you can bear with me. But these things I want to give out are fundamental truths. And people should understand what I'm about to pass across, because when you understand this, you understand the control that the elite has over you, over I, and over mankind. We are consenting to their system. All right, now this is the book of Genesis, chapter 1. Now, I'm not going to read all the content, but I'm going to go straight to this. And God blessed them. I'm referring to the Almighty God here. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fishes of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. This is the original mind, is, was, and will continue to be the original mind of God concerning mankind. Now, that is the first point I want to establish, that this is the original mind that God has for mankind. Okay? Now, a quick summary on this. This was when creation began. When you look into the scriptures, this was when creation began. And God created everything and said it is good. And then he placed man over it to oversee, to be a kind of a supervisor. I'm trying to get the right word. A custodian over it, a steward. That's the right word I wanted to get. Now, man was a steward over God's creation. So this happened, and after a while, man fell from grace. And then that was in the book of Genesis, chapter 3, when the devil deceived man and then they fell out of grace. Following that, what happened? Men became sinful. But there was an activity that transpired when that happened. That activity was mankind giving, selling, officially handing over their birthright to the devil. And at that point, the devil became the one that had the birthright instead of man. Now, it was at that point that wickedness began to prevail over the world. And ever since then, the devil has been working hard to deceive mankind. At this point, mankind is now out of the control of the devil, because there was an advent that Jesus came and then sent his only begotten son. And then as many who believe are out of the control of the elite controlled system. But I wouldn't want to go into those details. My details here are going to be how the elites are making you to think that they are the ones in control. I've been able to bring out this fact that mankind originally had control over God's creation. Now I'll move over to the next step. And then the next step is in the Tower of Babel. Now, this Tower of Babel was when wickedness had already prevailed and was still prevailing. This was much later, after the first man and the first woman was deceived and sent out of the Garden of Eden. Now, if you look into the chapter 1 said, now the whole world had one language and one common speech. As people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. And now this is the beginning of this broadcast, so please do well to pay attention. They said to each other, come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the earth. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth. Now, this was the mind of man, but that was the original plan of God. When you look into this, you'll find out that it said, and God blessed them and said unto them, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fishes of the air, fishes of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Now, the main thing is, and God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. This is the original plan of God. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth. Now, these human beings, as at then, now came to themselves and thought to themselves and said that we should make a particular tower, so that instead of spreading across the entire world, which was originally God's plan, to spread abroad and then fill the whole ends of the earth, they began to think that it was contrary. Instead, they should unite and remain together and then build a tower so that all of them can, when people read through this content, a good number of people ascribe it to so many things. Some people ascribe it to the fact that they were supposed to build a tower that will reach to the heavens. That was an esoteric language. Because come to think about it, in our present world, even though we have a high level of technology, I don't think the highest building on this earth has been able to get to the first heavens. The first heavens is the sky. Now, I do not know how many story buildings it is, but the point is that the original plans of these guys, as at then, they were so primitive. You can't compare the technology now to then, their own, as at then. So they were so primitive, and they didn't have the kind of skill that we have now. So it was an impossible thing to think that they were building a tower to get to the heavens, where what was their original intent. Now I'm going to shortly expose their original intent. Now, I dare to tell you that these individuals that were talking about building a tower was the first kind of corporation that was ever set up in the history of mankind. The Tower of Babel was a controlled system. They wanted to build a centrally controlled system to ensure that they have an overseer over them, to make sure that all of their activities will revolve around everything that this overseer says. And when you look at it, you'll find out that it is on that model that every other system now in our present world is existing. When you look at commercial areas, when you look at cities, densely populated areas, you will find out that these people have filled that place with corporations and then with schools and a whole number of other things. And then many people are converging within that area. They are trying to repeat that same concept of the Tower of Babel. Now, let's continue. I've been able to establish the first fact. Originally, we're supposed to spread across the world. The second point is humanity, in their own deception, have decided to build a system of centralized control. And up until now, it is still the system being used. That system is not the system of the Almighty. Almighty God's plan is that man spreads abroad. Now, when you come to think about it, they keep saying that humanity is overpopulated. The elites tell you that we are overpopulated. But come to think about it, there are vast lands, vast acres of land spread across the entire world that are not being populated. So have you come to ask yourself that who are the people that are going to populate that area? They are just forests and a whole number of unexplored areas upon the face of this earth. Instead, we converge within ourselves and then it's a very densely populated area. That is not the idea of the Almighty God. Join me one step at a time. You will understand what I'm saying. Now, let's continue. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower the people were building. The Lord said, if as one people speaking the same language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so that they would not understand each other. So the Lord scattered them from there over all the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it is called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. For there the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. Now, this was the original plan. God did not approve of what they were doing. But you see, the people who mattered then had it in mind and they kept passing it on to generations, planning that at some point they are going to reunite humanity. And when they reunite humanity, they are going to be able to establish that central control system, which today we are referring to it as the New World Order. This New World Order has been from generations to come. They have managed to pass it on using a centralized control system and then using their own fraternity like the Freemasons, the Committee of 300 and all that. Now, it didn't stop here because there was a particular person that was in charge at this time, which was called Nimrod. Now, that was a kind of the kingly authority then, and they managed to pass it down up until now. Until now, they are still building that system so that you and I will have one language. Now, when you go into the Georgia stone, let's quickly look at the Georgia stone. I think it's Georgia stone. Yep, this is it. Now, let's pick images. When you pick images, this particular one, now let's forget about maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Let's look at guide reproduction wisely, improve fitness and diversity, unite humanity with a living new language. So they did not hide the truth. They put their own mind. This was their original intent. But then it's not according to God's perfect will. This is a devilish agenda. And this is under the control or jurisdiction of the elites. And these elites are directly under Lucifer. So where was I? Now, I've been able to establish the fact that it wasn't God's will of centralized control system. Until now, that centralized control system is being implemented using the banks. Now, when you come into this place, the Committee of 300, now you will find out something about the Committee of 300. If you look into this, when you zoom into it in details, you'll find out that there are several structures. Now, this kind of thing is similar to the Tower of Babel that they were building. Now, when you also look into this particular place, this is an incomplete pyramid. Now, this is symbolic to the Tower of Babel. Now, when you look into the original concept of the Tower of Babel, this is the original concept of the Tower of Babel. Now, let's pick this particular one. Now, this one is actually a building. Now, this is a kind of symbolic. It's not actually, I think this one will be better. Now, when you look into this, you'll find out that it's an incomplete building. They didn't finish it. And this is quite similar to the $1 notes. And when you look into this eye is actually Lucifer. It is not God that is masterminding it. It is a controlled system under the under the Luciferian controlled system. And this thing is what they are building. This is actually something they have put down in black and white. There is something the elites do when they want to go into an agenda, they put it in black and white. And black and white means they pen it down. It's also similar to how God goes about his plans. He puts it down on his word, and even after generations to come, though it hasn't happened, because he sees the end from the beginning, he pens it down, and in time, those things will begin to materialize. So the elites learned this kind of control system from the Almighty God, because it is the fallen angel, that Lucifer, that is trying to be glorified. He wants to be worshipped as God, but according to God's will, that will never happen. Now, I've said a whole lot on this. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the fact that when God, I'm not true, I mean about this biblical area. Now, talking about when God destroyed the earth the first time using flood. When he destroyed the earth the first time using flood, and he saved the world through Noah and his children, God also said again, then God blessed Noah and his sons, saying to them, be fruitful and increase in number and fill the earth. The fear and dread of you will fall on all the beasts of the earth and on all the birds of the sky, on every creature that moves along the ground, and on all the fish in the sea. They are given into your hands. Everything that lives and moves about will be food for you. Now, when you look into 7, it is re-emphasizing. As for you, be fruitful and increase in number, multiply the earth and increase upon it. So the bottom line I'm trying to establish is that the concept of multiplication, people are saying that we are overpopulated. Then why is God saying be multiply, fill the earth? It's because we have been brainwashed to think that we are really overpopulated. There are some uninhabited areas that we have not been able to explore, but we are under a system, and that system is the elite controlled system. Now, the TBC community came. I have begun on the area of TBC, so please do pay attention. TBC community came into light so that people's eyes of understanding can be enlightened much more. I wouldn't go into so many details because there are so many details about this, but the concept of TBC was to come forth and alleviate humanity and completely deliver them from this mindset that the elite has put on us, where we are thinking that it is going to be a system that is like the Tower of Babel. Because as long as I'm concerned, these are hierarchies. These hierarchies are very similar to this particular these hierarchies are very similar to this one. Now, this is a 2D concept of the Tower of Babel. Now, the 3D concept looks like this. Now, when you look into this, these are hierarchies. You'll find out the world monarch is there. You see the Crown Council of 13, the Committee of 300, and then some other ones, then the banking system, the corporations, then religion, the government, the media, and the rest of the people. It is a system of control, and they are not going to stop. And as long as you are working with a paper-based system, you are under their control. Let your eyes of understanding be enlightened. Okay? Now, we are saying no to their system. And how are we saying no? We are going back to the original plan that God has for us. Now, when you come into the Gringo Society system, you will find out that we have a similar kind of system. Now, in our own system, it is not a central control. This system that was set up here is not a system of control. It's a system of interdependency. The original plan of God was to make sure that mankind interdepends upon each other. Every man is sovereign, and everyone should depend on the other to be able to build a system where there is love, respect, and there is abundance for all. This is the original plan that God had. So when you look into this, this is what you call a communication structure, where one person will have at least 10 people he is managing. It is on the principle of multiples of 10 that everything happens. 100 manages 1,000 and all that. This is what you call an interdependency structure. And then as long as that interdependency structure is there, then this system stands the test of time long term. So I want us to be aware of this. I'm just giving you a tip of the iceberg. Now let's return to our original conduct, or our original the original thing I was addressing. Now I have been able to talk about the concept that the Almighty God had, and then how it was shifted aside by the elites, and then how the Tower of Babel came in. And it is still the same system they are using. Today, people are ignorantly walking along with their system. Today, people are walking along. When you look into the $1 notes, it is still this thing that is there. And people do not know. They just think, let me tell you something. The elites they don't make mistakes. They are deliberate about everything they do. Same thing also applies in our Gringo society. Everything that is done is not by mistake. Every word penned down by the administration is not a mistake. Everything was put down deliberately, because in the event of time, those things will begin to unfold. Please bear that. Now, let me quickly return back to my main content for today. My main content for today is those that are going to be in the TBC community will be tested, they will be tried, and those who are able to overcome are going to come out as pure gold. So I'm going to quickly move into a particular video. I would like us to watch that video. It's on that video now that I'm going to establish my second point. So that video is this. We're going to watch it together. Okay. So let's pay good attention.
Google Digital Skills for Africa. They give more than 40 online courses where they free. You fit learn you.
Now, as this video is playing, I'll be saying a whole number of things. So do listen to me. As it's playing, I pause it, I make some explanations, and we'll continue. So please pay good attention. Now, these are grains of gold. Okay? Yeah, so just keep watching it. You will understand a few things, and then where there is need for explanations, I'll make explanations. Now, these are grains of gold. Grains of gold. We in the TBC community are seen as grains of gold. 1 billion of us, it's what gives us our ultimate value. And at that point, we've maxed out. We can't appreciate more than 1 billion. So let's continue.
I think that all sorts of people. You can have the grandparents that come to us to buy a small gold coin for their grandchild 18th birthday or 21st birthday, up to the family office that have under management 600 million pounds and decide to put 2% of their holding in physical bars and coins. There's a wide variety of people. first chemical will take away the base metals, and the second chemical will take away the silver. So you are just left with gold.
Okay, now I want to say something quickly. Now, looking at this, temperatures in the crucible reach up to 1,400 degrees Celsius. Something that I want us to bear in mind is that as members in our Kringle Private Society, we are going to be purified. Purified because if you look into the present system, it's filled with so much corruption, so much craftiness, so much short corners, things that are not supposed to be, things that are questionable. These are systems we have always been familiar with. If you are coming into the Kringle Private Society, it is expected that you're supposed to change your perspective and your reality as you interact with our system. You should be dropping those crafty attitudes, those deceptive attitudes, those attitudes that are not reasonable. You are supposed to drop them aside. Now, this temperature that is purging this gold means impurities, things that are not supposed to be, are supposed to be dropped aside. You are supposed to be purged to the point where when someone deals with you, the person will smile and say, wow, for the first time, I've met someone that is very sincere and straightforward. This is how and what we are doing in our Kringle Private Society. So if you are a member in this community working towards becoming a billionaire, knowledge is fundamental. Knowledge means you are supposed to keep learning. And as you're learning and interacting with individuals in the system, learn to drop those attitudes that are not supposed to be. Now, let's continue. Did you see that? Now, this is an impurity. The process of getting pure gold doesn't happen overnight. It is by constant learning, constant interaction. The system is supposed to purge you. Now, those that are going to come forth as billionaires should have been tested, tried, and has proved their worth. You are not going to become a billionaire overnight. Now, that wallet you are seeing in your Kringle Cash, in your TBC 009, that wallet is something that you have to grow up into that level. And you may think it is so much. If your mindset is that this is impossible, then that means you haven't built your mind to that level. And building your mind to that level will take time. It's not something that will just happen overnight and then all of a sudden, wow, I can spend my TBC coins. It's going to happen one step at a time. And that is where the process of removing the impurities come in. If you are not diligent, if you are not making the necessary commitments, of course, the system is based on meritocracy. What's going to happen is in the event of time, you will fail to meet up with that responsibility because as long as I'm concerned, that wallet and the amount there, it means that there are going to be more responsibilities. I speak in the words of the admin, to whom more is given, more is expected. So these are impurities. You should take those things off and build your mind to be able to help humanity because we are preparing every member in the community, especially the billionaires, to prepare themselves to help mankind. Okay. It hasn't yet been pure. This is still a process. It hasn't been. There is what you call purification. There are still some impurities. When you see refined gold, you will know. Let's continue. Still being purified. still being purified. It wouldn't happen overnight. It won't happen overnight. It wouldn't happen overnight. You have to show that you are qualified. Alright, gold sand is the purest form you can get. So listen to the next thing that follows. Alright, just this bucket is what, this is actually gold. This is gold sand. Amazing. Is what over or what around 250,000 euro or $328,000. How interesting. Let's keep watching. Now, we are 1 billion grains of gold. Watch how grains of gold are formed. All right. I hope we saw what you said. When melted into a crucible, gold sand turns into grains of gold. Now, did they say that? Did they say that this is grains of gold? These are beautiful grains of gold. Now look at them. These are grains of gold, and it went through some process. Now, when you listen to the member helper meetings or new member meetings, there is something that the presentation says: constant development is needed. Constant development is needed. If you fail to follow through the process, if you refuse to follow through the process, well, based on meritocracy, he that is able to meet up with the process will definitely come out as fine gold. I wouldn't want anyone to fall off as an impurity, because trust me, it's not going to be so easy. That's why the vacancies for billionaires will only be 1,111,111, and the bulk of those that own these coins will be 11,111. Now, the other 100,000 will also have sufficient amount of coins, but not as much as the core team. The administration was deliberate. There is the core team, there is the mass adoption team, and there is the billionaire category. So do your part to be in the core team. Let's continue. These are fine grains of gold.
The grain is the final product of the refinery. Then start the manufacturing. Whatever metal we're talking, you melt the grain again and you cast it. You cast it into stripes of metal. That is one metal that is called minted. You make a strip of metal and then you cut it in shape.
Now, are you understanding what was said? That when you have finally produced the grains of gold, you can then melt it into any form you want. So that's to say, we as individuals, seen as grains of gold, are going to take different forms using a committee concept. We are going to take different forms and fill every void that the world needs to get filled with. There is going to be academics or education. There is going to be food. There is going to be manufacturing. There are going to be different areas that the committee will have. And because we are grains of gold, we can melt ourselves and then take a form that can fill out that void that humanity is in dire need of. Humanity will be in need of food. We are going to melt ourselves and then fill out that void so that we can provide enough food for mankind. Humanity is in need of water. We melt ourselves and use our system to build enough water, because the world is made up of 70% of water, but yet people are not able to have access to clean water. Now, humanity is in need of cars that fly. We'll melt ourselves and then are able to set up a structure using our medium of exchange fund such organizations, and then we have cars that can fly. Think about anything. We will melt ourselves and then get the right structure in a committee format, sponsor it, and make a difference. Let's continue.
You can cut it in the shape of the bar, you can cut it in the shape of a coin, different sizes. And the other method is casting. You put the grain like in a mold, you put it twice through a machine, and then you open the lid and you have your little bars, cast bars.
Yeah, this is beautiful. Okay. Throughout the process, gold is tested in the labs for impurities detected in our TBC community. Yes, there will be times you'll be tested. A time will come when we have gained global adoption. A time will come, we'll need reputable people that will fill out the positions of Board of Trustees and Privy Council. And this is wholly in the hands of the administration to appoint such people. I tell you that at that point, you'll be checked based on past records, how credible you will be. Remember, during this course of building into global adoption, you are going to be tested as whether you are qualified to stand out as gold or not. We would only need 1 billion grains of gold so that we can take into different forms and change the world for good. Let's continue. We are almost through.
The smallest bar that we make is the 1 gram bar. That is the size of your SIM card. And it's arrived at today's price is 31 pounds. They buy it as a gift. They buy it because they want to begin to invest in gold in a small way. They want to try how easy it is to buy gold. And the biggest bar that we make here is a 5 kilogram bar, 160,000 roughly. In the manufacturing processes, because we mill, we file our bars and our coins, you have a lot of residues of metal flying around because they have weight, they drop to the floor, and people tend to carry them on their shoes. We have filters in all the air system and all the water systems. At the end of the year, to close our stock figures, we burn all those filters as well as the mat that is between the manufacturing site and the offices. And every year we recoup metal between 3,000 and 4,000 pounds from those filters and that mat. And also the workers use specific colors of overalls, and we wash them here every day. And then that metal is trapped in the water filters that we have.
All right. I believe the information has been effectively passed across. Even those of us, permit me to also talk about those that are going to come into the committee. I've said this before in one of our meetings, but I want to say it again. If you are going to be in our committees, there are some attributes, some characters that we are looking out for. One of those characters is to be credible, and then someone that is also trustworthy. Now, you should also prove based on meritocracy that you are qualified. You should also show that, yes, your Bitcoin bounty proves that you are bringing members into the community. That's it. Not just bringing in members. You should bring in members. Let those members be followers of the system, because we are building in 1 billion active people. And 1 billion active people means constant follow-up, constant willingness to learn. If you are unwilling to learn and you drop by the wayside, remember that we still go about migrations. We are purifying to get the best. And I am hoping that you are going to be a party to it, a party to becoming fine gold. Because once we have gotten to the point of global adoption, and we are 1 billion members, well, a whole lot is going to happen. All right, I will stop here. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is our Kringle Cash. There is a whole lot I'll talk about, but then let's leave it for tomorrow. Let's go into our Kringle Cash. Now, in our Kringle Cash, you find out that a whole lot is going on behind the scenes. Now, looking at this, our numbers has also appreciated again. This is 296 of 500, and we will soon get to 300. The next update now will be coming in should be around 320 or thereabouts. So we are going to see how it's going to be. Today's date is 13th. We are not even up to half of the month, and we're in 300. And so once it gets to 300 and let's say 320, most likely around 315, 320. In fact, it should be much more than 315. Let's look at 320 of 500. Then that means before the 20th of this month, it should get to 400. And I can still say, and I am still saying, that people will miss out of this opportunity because they would wait till the last minute. I hope you will not be in that category of those that miss out. All right, I've been able to establish some facts. Those that are going to be in this core team are going to be people that are going to sponsor this food subsidy because the TBC community will be depending wholly on these core team members. So if you are going to be part of those that will build this food subsidy, prepare yourself to be on the core team. You are also going to be handsomely rewarded in our TBC community because you chose to help the TBC community build to global adoption. Now, let's have a look at those that are in the core team. Now, this is also going to be part of the purification process. Okay. Now, the purification process in the sense that some people that are in this core team now, at some point, they would fall off. They will fall off because they are not able to grow the TBC community. They are not able to grow the system and bring in enough people so that those people too can build the system. You cannot be in this core team and then at some point you stop paying the TBC subscription fee. You have to regularly keep paying the monthly subscription fee. Now, looking at this, this is 4,955. Remember, our core team is 11,111, and it is expected that everybody that are at this core team should be ready to pay yearly or monthly, and it is only the approved cryptocurrencies. It is not bulk credits. Looking at bulk credits, it is saying that you are only eligible till a certain point. So ensure that you are making payments with cryptocurrency. Between now and the shortest possible time, we are going to complete those numbers. If you are going to come out as fine gold, it is required that you stand the test of time. I hope you are able to stand the test of time because something huge is about to kick off in our Kringle Private Society. All right, enough said on that. I think I will continue my broadcast again tomorrow. So for those of us that will be watching, I would appreciate it if you can like and share my video. All right. All right, that's it. Thank you so much. Let me return back to where I was. Okay, a whole number of people are actually watching. So let's get some feedback. Thanks, bro. I lie to you. Okay, I like the way you always analyze. All right, thank you very much. I actually appreciate. So the next person says, thanks, bro. I love you always. And okay, I understand. Thank you. I do appreciate. And still says the same thing. I love the way you always analyze. Excellent. Thank you. I really appreciate. Kintu. I think I know Kintu. I've seen him in our meetings. If it's not, if it's, I don't know, but I think it is the Kintu I know. Hi, bro. Thanks for the work. I do appreciate. And let's see, you are doing great, sir. Yeah, thank you very much, Charlie. I do appreciate. And then let's see, your broadcasts are mind blowing and very educative. I do appreciate. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. And Marilyn, I think I know Marilyn too, but I can't recall. But I think, well, it's okay. Thank you very much for being on my broadcast. I'll be giving a very solid broadcast tomorrow. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please do well to subscribe to my channel. And tomorrow's broadcast is going to be huge. As broadcasters, we should learn to give out our best. And it's actually something you can discover over time. I've been broadcasting for the past 4 years or 5 years now, and I keep getting better. I love broadcasting, and trust me, there is so much I have to uncover. So do well to always follow up anytime I'm live. So in order to save our time, let me stop here. So thank you, and till I come your way again tomorrow. Cheers, and do have a wonderful day. God bless you.